The first thing Daniel Reed said to Emily Carter was, "You're fired." She had been inside his company for exactly 6 hours. 6 hours. That was all it took for the most powerful CEO in the city to decide she wasn't worth keeping. Emily stood silently in the middle of the executive conference room. 27 years old. Simple black dress. Second-hand handbag. No expensive jewelry. No impressive family name. Just a folder containing her resume and a job offer she had spent months trying to earn. Daniel looked at the papers in front of him. "You don't belong here." Emily swallowed. "Mr. Reed, I haven't even started. I've seen enough. May I ask what I did?" He looked directly at her. "You questioned my decision in front of the board. I only pointed out that the numbers were wrong. And that was your mistake." Emily glanced at the financial report on the table. "The numbers are still wrong." Daniel's expression hardened. "Security will escort you downstairs." She picked up her handbag. Before leaving, she looked at him. "You'll lose $20 million if you approve that contract." Daniel almost laughed. "Goodbye, Ms. Carter." Emily walked out. Nobody knew that she had already seen the contract before her interview. Nobody knew she had spent 3 nights studying the company. And nobody knew why she had desperately wanted this particular job. She wasn't there for the salary. She wasn't there for the title. She was there because of her father. 3 years earlier, her father had died believing Daniel Reed had destroyed his life. Her father had owned a small technology company. One morning, federal investigators arrived at his office. Millions of dollars were supposedly missing. His business collapsed. His reputation disappeared overnight. And within 6 months, he was dead. Emily had never believed the accusations. Her father had always told her, "Someone powerful wants me gone." But he died before he could tell her who. The only name she had found in his old files was Reed Industries. Daniel Reed's company. That's why Emily had applied for the job. She wanted answers. Not revenge. At least, that's what she told herself. 3 months later, Daniel was sitting in his office when his assistant rushed in. "Sir, we have a problem." "What kind?" "The merger." Daniel looked up. "What about it?" "The company we're acquiring just sent over their final audit. And? The numbers don't match." Daniel stood. "How much?" $20 million. His face went pale. $20 million. Exactly the amount Emily had warned him about. Who prepared the original report? Marcus Vail. Daniel's chief financial officer. His closest executive. The man he had trusted for 11 years. "Bring him here." Marcus entered 10 minutes later. "What happened?" Daniel placed the audit on the desk. "Explain this." Marcus looked at the papers. "I don't understand. $20 million are missing." Marcus stared at the numbers. "This must be an accounting error." Daniel remembered Emily. Her words. "You'll lose $20 million if you approve that contract." He immediately asked his assistant, "Find Emily Carter." She hesitated. "The woman you fired?" "Yes. We don't have her current address." "Then find it." By the end of the day, Daniel had learned something unexpected. Emily wasn't working for another company. She had disappeared. No social media. No public resume. No new employer. Nothing. Daniel became obsessed with finding her. 3 days later, he finally found an address. It was a small apartment on the edge of the city. He went there himself. Emily opened the door. When she saw him, she looked surprised. "What do you want?" "I need your help." She almost closed the door. You fired me. I know. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I know. You said I didn't belong there. Daniel looked down. I was wrong. Emily studied him. What changed? The contract. She said nothing. You were right. I know. Daniel looked at her. $20 million are missing. Emily's expression changed. Then you finally looked. I need someone who can find out where the money went. You have accountants. I don't trust them. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. That answer surprised her. Daniel continued, but I think someone inside my company has been stealing from me for years. Emily crossed her arms. And you think I can find them? I know you can. She looked away. I don't want your job. I know. I don't want your money. I know. Then why are you here? Daniel hesitated. Because you were the only person in that room who wasn't afraid to tell me I was wrong. Emily looked at him. That's not the reason. Daniel frowned. What? You came because you recognized my name. He went silent. Emily stepped closer. My father was Thomas Carter. Daniel's face changed instantly. He hadn't heard that name in years. You knew him. Daniel couldn't answer. You knew my father. Yes. How? He worked with us. No, Emily's voice became colder. He didn't just work with you. Daniel looked away. He believed your company stole from him. Daniel closed his eyes. Your father was investigating something. What? I can't tell you. Why? Because the person who did it is still inside my company. Emily stared at him. Who? Daniel shook his head. I don't know yet. She stepped backward. You expect me to help you uncover the person who destroyed my father? Yes. Why? Because I think he may be the same person who is trying to destroy me. Silence filled the room. Emily looked at the man standing in front of her. The man she had spent 3 months blaming. The man her father had warned her about. And for the first time, she wondered if Daniel Reed had been telling the truth all along. She finally said, I'll help you. Daniel nodded. But I have one condition. What? You give me access to everything. Everything? Every financial record. Every email. Every private contract. Daniel hesitated. Then he handed her a security card. Everything. Emily took it. Before leaving, she looked back. One more thing. Yes? If I find out you had anything to do with my father's death, Daniel looked directly at her. Then you won't have to forgive me. That night, Emily entered Reed Industries for the first time since being fired. She went straight to the company's private archives. She searched her father's name. Nothing. She searched the company records from 12 years earlier. Nothing. Then she found an encrypted folder. Its title contained only 3 letters, TC. Her father's initials. Emily opened it. A password was required. She tried his birthday. Wrong. Her mother's birthday. Wrong. Then she remembered something her father used to say whenever she asked about his work. The truth is always hidden where nobody thinks to look. Emily stared at the screen. She entered one final word. Daniel. The folder opened. Inside were dozens of files. The first one was a photograph of her father. The second was a bank statement. The third made her blood run cold. It was a copy of her father's death certificate. But someone had written a note across the bottom in red ink, he wasn't supposed to die. Emily's hands began shaking. Then she opened the final file. It contained one sentence. If Emily ever comes looking for the truth, do not let her find out who ordered it. She heard footsteps behind her. Emily slowly turned around. Someone was standing in the dark doorway. And the voice that came from the hallway was one she recognized immediately. "You should have stayed fired." Emily froze. The man stood in the doorway, his face hidden in the darkness. She recognized the voice. Marcus? He stepped into the light. Daniel's chief financial officer smiled. "You were always too curious." Emily slowly closed the laptop. "What did you do to my father?" Marcus laughed quietly. "Your father made one mistake." "What mistake?" "He believed the truth mattered more than power." Emily stood. "You killed him." Marcus shook his head. "No, you threatened him." "Yes." "You destroyed his company." "Yes." "You made everyone believe he stole the money." Marcus's smile disappeared. "He was going to expose us." "Us?" Emily's voice trembled. "Who else?" Marcus looked toward the hallway. "Daniel Reed." Emily stared at him. "You're lying." "Am I?" Marcus stepped closer. "Your father discovered that someone inside Reed Industries had been moving money through shell companies." "Your companies?" "Our companies." Emily's stomach tightened. "Daniel knew?" "Of course." "Then why did he pretend not to?" "Because Daniel wasn't the one running the operation." "Who was?" Marcus smiled. "You're looking at him." Emily stared at him. "You?" "I've been doing it for 12 years. "Then why blame my father?" "Because he found me." Marcus pulled a folder from his jacket. He had evidence. "What evidence?" "Enough to put me in prison." "Then why didn't he give it to the police?" "Because he trusted Daniel." Emily shook her head. "That doesn't make sense." "It does when you know what happened." Marcus placed the folder on the desk. "Your father went to Daniel." "And?" "Daniel promised to protect him." Emily looked at the files. "What happened?" "Daniel betrayed him." She opened the folder. Inside were copies of emails. Messages between Daniel and her father. Then she saw one dated 12 years earlier. "Thomas, I know what Marcus is doing. I have proof. Daniel, don't do anything until we meet." The next message was from Daniel. "Delete everything. Trust me." Emily looked up. Why would Daniel tell him to delete the evidence? Marcus smiled. Because Daniel was protecting himself. Emily's hands shook. Then she heard another voice. "That's not what happened." Marcus turned. Daniel stood behind him. He looked furious. Emily stared at both men. Daniel walked into the room. "Marcus, step away from her." Marcus laughed. "You finally came." Daniel looked at Emily. "Are you okay? Did you know?" "Know what?" "That my father was investigating Marcus?" "Yes." "Did you tell him to delete the evidence?" Daniel looked at the screen. Then back at her. "Yes." Emily's face fell. "Why?" "Because the evidence wasn't safe." "That's not an answer." Daniel took a breath. "Your father had discovered Marcus was stealing money. But Marcus wasn't working alone." Emily stared at him. "Who else?" Daniel looked at Marcus. Marcus said nothing. 3 board members, Daniel continued. They were moving money through companies overseas. Emily looked at Marcus. "Then why did you protect them?" "I didn't." "Then why did my father die?" Daniel's expression changed. "Because I was too late." Silence. Daniel continued. "Your father met me the night before he died. Emily looked at him. He gave me a copy of the evidence. Where is it? Daniel reached inside his jacket. He pulled out a small flash drive. I've kept this for 12 years. Emily stared at it. Why didn't you give it to the police? Because I couldn't prove who I could trust. Marcus suddenly moved. He grabbed the flash drive. Daniel tried to stop him. Marcus pushed him aside and ran. Emily chased him. They raced through the corridor. Marcus reached the elevator. The doors opened. Emily grabbed his arm. He pushed her away. She fell against the wall. Daniel arrived seconds later. The elevator doors closed. Marcus was gone. Daniel helped Emily stand. Are you hurt? No, she looked at him. Get me the security footage. Within minutes, they discovered Marcus had entered the building with another man. A man Emily didn't recognize. Daniel did. His face went pale. Who is he? My former chairman. Former? He resigned 2 years ago. Why? Daniel looked at the screen. Because I thought he was dead. Emily stared at him. What? Daniel pointed at the footage. That man died 3 years ago. Emily felt a chill. They watched the footage again. The man entered the building using a security badge registered under another employee. Daniel immediately called the police. But before they could arrive, the company's entire computer network shut down. Every screen went black. Then one monitor came back on. A message appeared. You should have left the past alone. Emily stared at it. Another message appeared. Thomas Carter was warned. Then, now his daughter is next. Daniel immediately grabbed Emily's hand. We're leaving. They ran downstairs. Outside, police cars were arriving. Marcus had disappeared. So had the mysterious chairman. But the flash drive was still missing. For the next several days, Daniel and Emily worked together. They discovered something unbelievable. Marcus had been transferring money into accounts controlled by a private investment group. That group had one hidden owner. Thomas Carter. Emily stared at the document. My father? Daniel shook his head. Not willingly. How? Marcus created the accounts using your father's identity. Emily's eyes filled with tears. He made my father look guilty. Yes. And when my father found out, he threatened to expose Marcus. Emily finally understood. Her father's death hadn't been the end of the story. It had been the beginning. 3 days later, the police arrested 2 of the board members. Marcus was still missing. Then Emily received a message. Meet me where your father worked. Come alone. She showed Daniel. I'll go with you. No, Emily. If he wants me alone, maybe he knows you're coming. Daniel stared at her. Then take this. He gave her a small recording device. Emily drove to the abandoned Carter Technologies building. The place had been empty for years. Inside, she found Marcus waiting. He looked exhausted. You came. Where's the evidence? Marcus laughed. You still think I'm the biggest problem. Then who is? He looked behind her. Emily turned. The mysterious chairman stepped out of the shadows. He was holding a gun. Emily froze. The man smiled. Your father was smarter than we thought. Who are you? He looked at her. My name is Richard Vale. Daniel had told her he was dead. But he was standing right in front of her. Richard continued, your father discovered everything. What do you want? The same thing he wanted. The truth? No, he smiled. Control. Emily slowly stepped backward. Richard raised the weapon. Then a voice came from behind him. "Drop it. Daniel." Police officers surrounded the building. Emily had secretly activated the recording device before entering. Marcus looked at Richard. "You said she would come alone." Richard's face changed. Emily smiled. "You should have checked your own security cameras." The police arrested both men. The investigation lasted months. Every hidden account was discovered. Every false document was exposed. And finally, her father's name was cleared. Daniel stood beside Emily during the official announcement. Afterward, he handed her a folder. "What is this?" "Your father's company." She stared at him. "What about it?" "I bought back the remaining assets." "Why?" "Because they belong to you." Emily shook her head. "I can't accept this." "You don't have to." "Then why give it to me?" Daniel smiled. "Because your father spent his life building it." Emily opened the folder. Inside was a letter. Her father's handwriting. She read, "Emily, if you ever find this, I want you to know something. Never let anyone convince you that power is more important than truth. And never be afraid to stand alone." She pressed the letter against her chest. For the first time in years, she cried without feeling angry. Daniel stood beside her. "You were right on your first day." Emily laughed. "About the 20 million? Yes. I told you." He smiled. "You also told me I didn't belong there." Emily looked at him. "I was wrong about that." "Why?" "Because you weren't supposed to belong there." He pointed toward the folder. "You were supposed to inherit it." 3 months after being fired, Emily became the new owner of Carter Technologies. The company that had once been taken from her family was finally hers again. But she never forgot her first day at Reed Industries. The day Daniel Reed had looked at her and said, "You don't belong here." Years later, when someone asked Emily how she built her company, she always smiled. She would tell them, "I didn't build it. I found what was stolen from my family. And then I made sure nobody could ever steal the truth again." As for Daniel, he remained her closest business partner. Not because he was a powerful CEO. Not because he had money. But because he was the one person who had eventually chosen the truth over his own reputation. And Emily learned something her father had tried to teach her years before: sometimes losing a door is exactly what you need to find the one that was meant for you.